What's good? It's Chris from The Chris Collins Show, Millennial Talk Show, featuring Nashville singer-songwriter Amanda Cooksey, known for her breakup songs, crop tops, and TikTok covers, is a refreshing new voice in country music. Joins Off the Fret. More music talk. What's good, listeners? Joining us from Nashville, Tennessee is my first female artist to join Off the Fret. More music talk, featuring country star Amanda Cooksey. How's it going, fam?
Hello, how are you?
Oh my gosh, I am fabulous. It is such an honor to get you finally on Off the Front. I know this has been kind of like a year in the making,
I
but to
know.
have you on is truly one of a kind. And let's get right on into it because Amanda, I like to think that you're like a permanent resident of Nashville. And am I correct to say that you've lived in the city for almost a decade now?
Almost, yeah. I think we're coming on 9 years now, which is pretty wild. But I've really loved it so far. And of course, I make trips to Florida, back home all the time. So it's like still feels like my home in a way, but
Yeah, absolutely. And like, what stands out the most in Music City, USA compared to your hometown of South Florida?
oh gosh. Well, it just feels a lot different here vibe-wise because this is a big music city, so it's just all music all the time. And so it's a lot different from like Orlando area just because I'm not, there wasn't a huge music scene down there. It's like kind of happening a little bit, but I definitely it was like a culture shock for me like coming here and like everybody that you talk to on the street is a songwriter. It's wild.
And so, is that like a main reason why people should move to the music capital of the world? Would you embrace more young artists taking their endeavors to Nashville?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're wanting to be a part of the music industry, I would say like Nashville, LA, or New York are like the places to be.
And like as a shy kid, growing up, singing in church to taking vocal and piano lessons in middle school, you graduated from Belmont University with
I
a
did.
double major in business administration and songwriting,
Yeah.
including a master's degree in public relations. So,
Yeah.
why is it important to be educated as an artist?
Oh gosh. Well, even when I first moved here, I had to learn so much about the industry and there's just so much involved in it. And I think it's important just to have a background, especially in like a, business or music business, just to know kind of like how it works and so you don't fall into any like pitfalls like while you're here because you just never know. People, can take advantage of you and it's not like everybody here's doing that or out to get you, but it's smart to like have a knowledge of it so that when you come here you understand and you know like how to speak all the terms, all the music terms.
But what would be that outlet of destination? Like, what's the first thing you should start thinking about when you arrive in the capital, city of the world, the music world that we know as Nashville, Tennessee today?
Oh gosh. I mean, I feel like the first basic thing to do, at least for me, was to just start networking with everybody and get to know who the big players are, who the key players are, and just get to know the class that you're going to come up with, songwriter wise, just because those people are probably going to be, huge writers one day as well. So just knowing everybody, I feel like is like the most important thing, I think.
And where does that begin? Do you go to like coffee shops? Do you try to play as many pub gigs as much as possible? Because I mean, they're like also dubbing Nashville as like Nash Vegas, or is that just a West Coast thing that people say?
No, I've heard the term Nash Vegas a ton. It's definitely because of all the bachelorette parties and everything.
Ah, I see. The great music scene, beautiful women, great music.
Exactly.
I gotcha. I see where you're going with this. So, but as someone
Exactly.
who is so open in the past about, your insecurities on stage, like where did the ambition and aspiration come from,
I
to
know.
move from South Florida to Nashville?
It's really funny because, as a kid, like I wouldn't even come out of my room to see family members when I was like 5. So it's crazy to me that I'm now, performing on stages here in Nashville because I never thought I would be at this point. But um when I was in middle school, I was playing piano. That was my first instrument. And I was getting lessons and I was doing classical music for the most part. And on the side, I was kind of writing songs in my bedroom for fun and was kind of starting to teach myself guitar chords and everything. My dad had a guitar growing up, and I just thought, why not pick it up and try to play it? And started writing songs on the guitar. But
See, that's intriguing that you just referenced that because I know on your mom's side, your grandparents originally from Italy are like super
yeah,
loud and hilarious. Well, on your dad's side, from living in Jacksonville, Florida, and
yeah.
Georgia, they're like super quiet. So, do they hone their emotions through storytelling in music?
It's funny because I feel like my dad's the only musical one, I guess, on that side of the family. But my dad, I feel like guitar playing is definitely his outlet to just get his like emotions and feelings out. But other than that, like I feel like it's just me for the most. So I don't even know where it came from. But
Hey, fair enough. Because I'm always curious where people pick up those talents, those musical aspirations, and is it true? Because it was my understanding that when you were a junior in high school, country music wasn't your first genre of choice. Is that correct?
yeah, so in high school, I don't even know like kind of how it started. I just started listening to different styles of music and I feel like it was probably because Spotify had become a thing and there
Mm.
were just more options and available and it just really expanded my taste in music and country was one of the genres I started listening to. I was listening to like Jay Gowen, Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean, like all these different people and just really became inspired by the storytelling lyrics and it kind of just like led me into country.
Yeah, because that arouses curiosity in me, knowing that, this genre that you found so much success in wasn't your first genre of choice. So, if it wasn't for the honky tonk music, what genre would it be if you weren't playing country music?
Oh gosh. Well, definitely like pop music. I mean, I'm kind of like in this stage where I'm like a little bit transitioning over more to the pop side.
Oh, really? So,
It's
what can
kind
we
of funny.
expect with future releases from Amanda Cooksey?
It's definitely to be determined. I'm in the writing stages right now, but it's definitely got a country element to it still in a way, just because my lyrics have always been like more storytelling emotional lyrics, and that's what I loved and still love so much about country is that element of it, and I try to bring that to a pop sound with pop melodies and everything. So,
Yeah, because Amanda, you've spoken about that in the past with the previous interviews and music publications about how you feel like the genre of country music is easier to actually tell a story compared to other genres of music. Uh, but it kind of sounds like you've sort of changed your mind over the recent years now that you're exploring the pop genre. So, what do you say to that now? Do you feel like your storytelling and music has evolved over the years?
yeah, I feel like over the years it's definitely like changed and the people I'm like inspired by like are always changing or I'm finding new artists and everything. But I feel like in general, pop's a lot more emotion based, but I still think that there's a lot of pop writers out there that have that like innate storytelling ability or just this like cleverness to the lyric like country music has. And that's like my favorite part about writing is like giving like a twist um to like an idea.
Do you feel like there's anything missing? Like, I know we're just barely getting started in the year 2023, but do you feel like there's something that's missing in writing lyrics today from other artists that are making it into the scene today?
Gosh, that's such a hard I mean, I feel like it's just depends on, like, what you feel and what you wanna write, I don't know if there's necessarily, like, a right or a wrong or, like, something missing, like, everybody just kind of writes what they feel, and I think that's, what's so cool about music is it's just about, like, you and your life, basically. It's just your diary.
Fair enough. I'm totally with you on that, and I think you've really opened yourself up, especially with your latest LP, "Him." And the first
Yes.
music video that we'll be playing on Off the Fret, More Music Talk, is your music video, "Wish You Were Here," where the viewers experience a day in the life of someone just trying to make it through a breakup without leaving the home. So, how do you get over your ex?
Oh gosh. Well,
The floor
there's
is yours.
yeah, that I mean, you cry about it a lot maybe, then you go out with your friends and have a great time, and then you cry some more. You maybe eat some ice cream, write a couple songs. Yeah, at least that's how I've done it in the past.
Is there a preferred choice of ice cream that someone should be eating when they go through what everybody will go through at one point, a breakup?
Definitely either the Tonight Dough, the Ben& and Jerry's flavor, or it's called fish food. It sounds weird, but it is also a Ben& and Jerry's flavor. They're both amazing.
Fish food.
I know, very weird sounding ice cream.
Yes, that's probably not was anything that I was thinking about. Maybe that's a woman's preference. I don't know if that's necessarily something that I would be finding myself,
I don't
eating.
maybe. I mean, if you like chocolate ice cream with like marshmallow caramel and like little chocolate fish, it is the best.
Okay, now this is all making sense to me now. Because I was getting a little bit worried, Amanda. I'm like,
I
"What in the fish
I
malarkey are
promise.
they cooking up in Nashville?"
Yeah, I promise there's no actual fish in the ice cream.
Okay, thank the Lord. But, like, getting swept up in a crush can, make us all feel a bit out of control. And how do you stop obsessing over an ex-romantic partner?
Oh my gosh. I think, it's just reflecting on the relationship and realizing, like where did it kind of go wrong? And for me, like that helped a lot. It was like you know, what were the reasons this ended and kind of come from it or from a different perspective, like what was this person feeling? What was I actually feeling? And kind
Yeah.
of realizing like, was this right for me or not? And I feel like over time, like I feel like in the end, things happen for a reason. I really believe that. And I think that if that was what was meant to happen, it was meant to happen. And my person is not that person.
And, I guess as you're saying this, my first reaction is, when do you start dating after a breakup?
Oh gosh. I feel like that is like a personal preference, but for me, like I say until you can like legitimately say I'm like not I'm over this person. Like I am ready to date again.
Okay, fair enough. Because, my mom knows me all too well, obviously, because I came straight out of the womb from my mumsy. But I'm always joking with her 24/7. If Bill Maher can be a bachelor until he's 60, so can I. So maybe I won't have to go through any of these kind of tactics anytime soon. But I'm telling you, you got to listen to this full length LP from
Oh,
Amanda
thank
Cooksey,
you.
him, because it will help you through those hardships. And I say, why don't we go ahead and play our first music video on Off the Fret, More Music Talk. And this is Amanda Cooksey's music video, Wish You Were Here.
Check, check, 1, 2. Is this thing on? Been stuck on my own little island where you left me in radio silence. No palm trees, just memories, and that sun sure ain't shining. It's blackout shades here in my bedroom. Ice cream pants still full of tissues. Heard you're happy wherever you are, but if I could send you a postcard, it'd say, I wish you were here, spending all of your time just swimming in tears, heartbroken like mine. I wish you were, wish you were, wish you were here. Wish you were, wish you were. Feeling all of my pain, feeling like it's your fault. I wish like hell you built something at all. I wish you were, wish you were, wish you were here. Wish you were, wish you were here. Maybe if you were wearing my shoes, you'd know what it's like hurting for two. They say misery loves company, but it's just me. Damn. I wish you were here, spending all of your time just swimming in tears, heartbroken like mine. I wish you were, wish you were, wish wish you were here. Wish you were. Feeling all of my pain, feeling like it's your fault. I wish like hell you built something at all. I wish you were here. Wish you were here. Oh no. Hey, hey. Here tearing up pictures. Here scotch taping, trying to fix them. Here regretting I was ever with you. Then I miss you and wish you. I wish you were here, spending all of your time just swimming in tears, heartbroken like mine. I wish you were here. Wish you were. Feeling all of my pain, feeling like it's your fault. I wish that hell you built something at all. I wish you were here.
Hey, what's good? That is Amanda Cookseys music video, Wish You Were Here. You can find it on her full-length LP, Him. And Amanda, how did you get into making music?
Gosh, well, I was kind of, I guess, as I was saying earlier, I started out on piano and was classically trained since I was like 6 years old and started writing some songs in my bedroom. And I had a piano teacher at the time named Ron Feldman, who was like an awesome classical piano teacher, but he also was a vocal teacher. And I started talking to him about how I was writing songs and he wanted to hear them and I would play them for him every time I went to lessons and he was like, "You should really like consider like actually going out and playing these like live for people." And as we kind of talked about, I was a super shy kid, so it was really hard for me to perform in front of anyone, but I ended up performing in my 8th grade talent show, in front of, like, 500 people. I think that was, like, my first, like, performance
But
by
I mean,
myself.
as you're saying this though, Amanda, I mean, that's pretty remarkable considering the fact that, most music teachers don't necessarily, as they're trying to teach you how to play music, go, "Hey, I see something special in you. You should
Right.
actually bring this talent to the stage." And you're like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
trying to learn a 4 chord progression. Can we just take
exactly.
it a little bit slow? I'm only in 8th grade." So what were some of those conversations, that you had with Ron that really kind of made you feel like, you know what, you're right. This is something that I want to do.
I mean, he always just saw something in my music and in my songwriting, and was always just very supportive and had such a kind heart. And even though he was also one of the most brutal piano teachers, but that's another story. But he always saw something in me and believed in me, and I think that just like that little belief was like what I needed to believe in myself more, which is something I've always like struggled with. And yeah, I don't
But
know.
I can't let you just kind of skip that to the side. I mean, you had a music teacher that was very aggressive, obviously very passionate in what he
Yes.
does. Talk to me. Like, what were some of those conversations like that kind of really kind of kicked your ass on a level to be like, if you really want to do this, as I see potential in you, you need to meet X, Y, and Z, so then you can become this potential country star that you are today.
Right. Oh gosh. Well, he was always like, every time I would mess up a classical piece just once, he'd be like, "That's wrong. You're doing it again next week." So I was always like having to like, perfect my craft, and he was really always on me. But at the same time, like he was the one that, when I did start playing more shows around Florida, he was the one that was always there, like cheering me on and
Do
in the
you
middle of
appreciate?
it.
But I would say though, Amanda, do you appreciate those moments of him being so stubborn about even just missing one note? Do you feel like that has helped you over the years, especially now that you're on your own, living in the music capital of the world?
It definitely did, and I don't know, it just taught me to, like, not just settle, and to really make sure that I'm presenting myself the way I wanna present myself, which is, like, to get the piece right or, to play the song right, and I just think it made me overall, like, a better performer, so I definitely value it.
Absolutely. And do you still view yourself as like a mix of Walker Hayes and Ariana Grande, or do you feel like I am Amanda Cooksey. There is no one else to compare myself to.
There's always people that inspire my music, and I feel like I'm always gonna be inspired, and most, I think, musicians are inspired by someone, and that definitely will always influence their sound. But I'd like to think, like, I have bring my own take to my songs and to my style, so they might be, like, hidden in there somewhere, but definitely trying to bring my own sound to the
No,
game.
I definitely feel like you do. And, what are the strengths that you have to become a country star? Is it, consistent with creating music or is it the love of the music?
Man, I think for me, it was just, like, 1, loving it and just enjoying, like, creating, and I think that's something that is easy to forget when you live in a town like Nashville for so long because you start, like, thinking of all the things you wanna achieve, and then you forget, like, why you're actually here, which is for the music part and, like, the part that you love, which is just writing songs. And I think, like, for me, finding my sound was really through just, like, enjoying it and, like, writing on my own for a little bit and finding myself and what I wanted to say, because when I moved here, it was like, "Oh, I wanna be like Miranda Lambert," but that wasn't me. I wasn't anything like Miranda Lambert. I'm not this, like,
Right.
"I'm gonna go, key your car or, like, burn your house down." That was never me.
Like I don't got that kind of like love rage, but I do
No.
definitely want to tell the story that all of us millennials, even zillennials, can relate to. And when did you know that you could sing? Was it by like nature or by accident?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like I when I was younger, my mom put me in, like, vocal lessons. She was always putting my brother and I in, like, lessons for music or sports so that we could try things and just find what we love, and I think singing was just something that kinda stuck with me, when I started taking lessons, and then I was singing in church a little bit because I grew up and went to Catholic school, and so I was singing in, like, the choir at church or, with another person
Sounds like
alongside.
you weren't afraid to belt it out
Yeah,
in the church choir.
I guess not. No, it was always, like, very, like, simple, like, church songs, but I was always up there with someone else, which made me feel, like, more comfortable, but, as soon as it was just me on the stage, that's when it became more real.
Y Yeah, absolutely, and is it important for, vocalists to listen to different types of music so they can find their voice, or were you vocally trained to get there?
Um, I would say it's, like, a mix of both. I feel like, obviously, whatever voice you're born with, you kind of learn to perfect that and make it your own. Um, and learn yeah, obviously, there's some technique involved in singing that you learn from a vocal coach, and they train you to not, like, damage your vocal cords or anything. But,
Yeah, because I usually tend to hear that more often when it comes to hard rock and heavy metal vocalists, but how is someone that sings country could potentially ruin the long haul of their musical career, which is your voice, your singing skills?
right. Well, I know that you can overuse your voice, if you're straining and, if you're tightening up your vocal cords, like, it just puts a lot of pressure on them. So it's like any kind of instrument, you have to, like, basically go in and, like, fine tune everything and, warm up and cool down, make sure it's like almost like
Yeah, I
running
was
and
gonna say, is there like
riding a
any
bike.
kind of like secret sauce, any kind of ingredient that you use before you jump up on stage? Are you drinking like warm water? Like I used to laugh at stories with like Craig Mabbitt from Escape the Fate because he does screaming vocals. He would say, "Yeah, I like to eat a bag of Skittles because it gets the
Interesting.
saliva kind of thick, and that's how it kind of helps me do the growls." So, is there any kind of method that you do, like a hot tea or anything like that?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm kind of boring. I just drink some water. I do like my little warm-ups that my coach gives me and then I'm good to go. I'm off to the races.
Well, I wouldn't say it's boring. It just seems like you're a natural star.
Yeah.
You don't need all that secret antidote to make things happen. I know. I think that's really really groovy. And I know that I was reading online that when you're in the songwriting process, it helps you to come up with lines and titles first. And since you did get a college degree in songwriting at Belmont University, was this something that you learned in school, or is this just something that works for you?
It's it's funny because like I feel like when I went to college and got a degree in songwriting, it was more about like the connections I made, and they would give us topics to write about sometimes, which would strengthen our writing that way. But I always feel like it was just a me thing to like, when I moved to Nashville, I kind of learned how other songwriters were writing songs with other people. But it was just kind of a me thing to feel more comfortable, like bringing in a line or bringing in an idea that we could write to, and like having my perspective on like how I think we should write it, or if there's like a cool twist to it. I think it's just more of a preference thing of, do you prefer like bringing in a melody, or do you prefer bringing in the idea or like a line or a
Right,
chord?
and do you use, like, the iCloud notes, or do you have, like, a journal full of, like, keywords, and then you sorta, like, circle it, like, "That's the one we're tackling today. We're gonna be talking about, I don't know, the social issues of tomorrow," or is it, "We're doing a breakup," or, "This is a cooking song." I don't even freaking
Right.
know. I mean, is that something that you draw upon, or is it just, like, something that kinda sparks in your head and you're like, "You know what? That's it. That is the chapter 1, the track 1 to my future LP record."
See, for it's funny because I'd love to say that I had this journal with all my ideas organized, or like a nice like, iCloud note. And I do have notes, that's what I do, but they are definitely not organized. They are all over the place. I'll find ideas everywhere. They're in my voice notes, they're in my actual notes, they're, on like I wrote it down somewhere on like my planner. It's just you never know.
Well, it seems
But
like you kinda just like vomit writing. That's probably not the most appropriate terminology to use, but it seems like you like to scatter your thoughts all over the place, and then eventually it will all come together as one. Is that kinda what I'm getting at from you?
Yeah, I guess so, and then I also it's funny, I actually find a lot of my ideas on Pinterest, and I have
Oh.
a folder that just literally says song ideas, and it's if there's, like, a cool, like, quote or something on Pinterest, I literally save the idea and then I write it.
Okay, I love that. So to me, it sounds like you're very much like a visual person when it comes
Yeah.
to songwriting. So obviously you use keywords, but so then you like to parlay your keywords with an imagery?
Yeah, I guess in a way, or it's just like, a quote that I just feel, like, connected to that I think is quirky and cool and different, and I'm like, "That's what I wanna
Do you
write."
use Pinterest to kind of like figure out where our generation is in the now?
It does definitely helps. I actually have gotten, ideas from TikTok as well, which I feel like is the big social media platform.
Incredible. I love that. I think that is so cool. And I know during the making of your country album, Him, you collaborated with 6 different songwriters to tell a story of a relationship ending and the aftermath that everyone can relate to. And what are the benefits of writing music with co-songwriters? And are there any downsides to collaborating with co-songwriters? Because when I heard like 6 different songwriters, I know sometimes when I'm producing off the Fred or the Chris Collins show, it's like, guys, too many ears in my head. I think I got the point. We're good. So how do you view it? I want to know.
Oh gosh, well, I love having co-writers. I mean, there's definitely, times where I prefer to just write solo, but, I feel like having people in the room with you that, understand what you wanna say, and that, know, like, I guess the concept for the song. It just helps get the idea across, and people are gonna bring ideas to the table you didn't think of, or maybe you'll have a different way to say it. So, I feel like I love having co-writers, especially if they're people that I've worked with a ton and, know are gonna understand, like, my voice and my, artistry.
With the new music in the works, will you continue to work with songwriters?
Oh, for sure. I'm always working with different people and the people that I love working with, that I've worked with in the past. So definitely going to be working with other songwriters.
I think that's so cool. And from like a musical perspective, what are the most important qualities for a successful songwriter?
Oh gosh. I would say just coming in with strong ideas and giving your own, unique twist to the lyrics. I feel like that is the most important thing. And then always having like cool different melodies. you can pull from.
And so when you say unique twist to your songwriting, is it like a certain part in a song that you need to focus on, like the hook? Or are you trying to do something kind of different where you don't want the verse to kind of correlate or sound the same as verse two? Or is it just kind of having fun with it? I mean, or is there no formula to the madness?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I feel like there's really no formula. Obviously, there's like the standard verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, but other than that, it's just like what you want it to be. But I always think, having a cool, unique idea or something that people haven't heard before always stands out.
Oh, I think that is so groovy. And I know the next music video that will be playing on Off the Fret, more music talk is Chicago. And during your first appearance on the Chris College Show, Millennial Talk Show, I asked you about how I can get a song written about me because I promised you I would never break your heart. And whether you regret writing songs about your exes. And why are you not shy about talking about your relationships publicly?
um, I think it's just because it's my way of expressing myself and my way of like getting my feelings out onto like a page. So it just doesn't really bother me. And I think that that's what, people want to hear is like about like your feelings and like what you've gone through because they can hopefully, maybe not hopefully, but they can relate to it and like put themselves in that situation and be like, oh my gosh, I went through that and like I feel this way. So I could listen to this song over and over again.
I definitely do feel like that's sort of the formula because, there's performers like Selena Gomez, Justin Bieber, and even
Right.
Adele who have written songs that are obviously directed towards their exes. And do writing sad songs help you with heartbreak?
I think so. I mean, it definitely got me through the breakup, which was it was a hard time for me, but it definitely helped with all the emotions I was feeling. And I don't know, it was almost like the breakup just like led me down this hole of like, oh, I have this really like cool idea to write this entire album called Him. And it's literally just the breakup story. I don't know. It just like it was a good focus for me at the
But
time.
why but I guess my question to you, Amanda, is why is it that artists feel like it's necessary to write music about their exes? Does, like, the industry demand it, or is there, like, a formula behind it?
I think that's just like what people like to write about. Like people love love and they love writing about their breakups and the heartache of it. It just like it makes them feel like they can have an outlet for everything they're feeling and all those emotions. I don't think it's really like a formula. It's just people's lives. Like people just like to write about what they're going through and hope that other people can connect to it.
Yeah, absolutely, Amanda. I mean, when I listen to your full-length LP, Him, I just keep telling myself, it's like, true love will come. Do I really wanna be in this position to feel heartbreak? I don't think so. I think the tides will come and I don't wanna be caught in the undertow, if you know what I'm saying. And I know the music video that we're about to be playing right now is Amanda Cooksey's music video, Chicago, live on Off the Fret.
You were there, I breathed, kept me on my feet, like a teenage dream, forever feeling 17. But guess you never saw us growing old. Maybe you left me a long time ago. Am I thinking too much? 'Cause you were all about us. Did you leave me in June? Or did you leave me in Chicago? Did you stay in a high-rise there? Does she know you like I know you? Were your fingers running through her hair? Did you give her your jacket? And did she whisper to you, I love you? Do I wanna know what happened? Did you leave me in June? Or did you leave me in Chicago? Did you leave me in Chicago? Might not change a thing, won't even help spaces in between. Wish you'd tell me what to think. Did you leave me in Chicago? Did you stay in a high-rise there? Did she know you like Garlo? Were your fingers running through her hair? Did you give her your jacket? And did she whisper to you, I love you? Do I wanna know what happened? Did you leave me in June? Or did you leave me in Chicago? Did you leave me in Chicago? I gotta know, I gotta know, no. I gotta know, I gotta know. I gotta know, I gotta know. Am I thinking too much? Did you even think about us? Was it really in June? Or did you leave me in Chicago? Did you stay in a high-rise there? Did she know you like Garlo? Were your fingers running through her hair? Did you give her your jacket? And did she whisper to you, I love you? Do I wanna know what happened? Did you leave me in June? Or did you leave me in Chicago? Did you leave me in Chicago? Did you leave me in Chicago? I gotta know, no.
That is Amanda Cooksey's music video, Chicago, and you can find that on her full-length LP, Him. And we got the one and only country star, Amanda Cooksey, with us right now. And Amanda, how well do you know the music industry and its current trends?
I'd like to think I know them, but we'll see. I don't know.
So do you feel like it's something that's always constantly on your mindset, or are you kind of just like, I just kind of let the music industry do its thing, and I'll follow the trends when it feel like it's appropriate?
I feel like I'm always having to think about it just because as an artist, I feel like it's important to know what's going on and to stay updated because you never know what new app's going to come out. But yeah, I feel like I try to stay updated, but also do my thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were talking earlier about your songwriting process, and a new trend happening in 2023 is record label executives encouraging more young artists to pursue AI songwriting. So, have you considered using AI to write lyrics for a future single or album?
Definitely not at this point.
Why not? Why
Um,
not embrace the tools that are in front of you?
I just feel like that takes the emotion out of the songwriting process. And I feel like that's why people love music and connect to music so much is because they find themselves in it. So I feel like letting a robot kind of decide what's gonna be in a song is just it's just not gonna get the same, feeling and emotion out
Yeah,
of
I think you're on to something, Amanda, because there's no doubt that AI is transforming art, but do you see it doing the same for music, even if it's just, let's say, musical arrangements and separate from writing lyrics?
I guess if there's no lyrics involved, I guess maybe it's possible. I don't know how it works, and how they generate like all the composition behind it, but I think at the end of the day, there's something special about like a person performing a song or writing lyrics to a song because it's real. It's natural.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know as someone like yourself who also, do you still work at a place called Demolition Music?
I do. I do.
And as someone as yourself, you're the head of PR, right?
Yes.
And with that in mind, you collaborate with other artists and other songwriters. So if someone else like a computer generated software is trying to get into the field that you're doing, what happens to songwriters when AI can generate music? Are you worried, or are you're like, yeah, this is just a facade and it's gonna go away?
I do think that, it's going to I feel like people might try it out and see how it works. I don't think it's going to replace songwriters just because, again, I think that it's technology. And we all see those movies about like, some kind of robot taking over, and then it just goes completely south, and then they have to destroy the robot. So,
Like it feels like the Wakanda Forever. I just watched that. They
yes.
introduced the new superhero, and they were kind of talking about how like, hey, you need to embrace AI, and the older Yankee Doodles in the film are like, no, like we
Yeah.
should not be embracing this. And the reason I kind of bring that up is some critics are claiming Google's new creation. They have a brand new AI system called Music LM, capable of generating any type of genre with just a mere text description. So I can literally say, hey, I'm in the ocean, feet are deep in the sand, and it's a nice sunny day. And it will literally generate lyrics for me. But some people feel like this is a violation of copyright infringement, as AI can't make art or music purely from scratch. Do
Right.
you share the same sentiment?
I mean, if it's taking from, samples and things that are already, or pieces of work that are already out there, then it seems like it would be. I don't, obviously I don't know completely how it's going to work, but it seems like that would
It
be,
seems like it's got to take from something,
yeah,
right? I mean,
exactly. You would think so. And, how is that going to work if it does like steal from somebody's song that's already out there? Like, do they get credit for it? Do they not?
yeah, do they purposely just go after like a certain record label and just mock like the same, top 100 Billboard artists? I
Right.
have no idea how that's all going to be
Yeah, I feel
playing
like
out.
legally that's gonna be an interesting battle for some people, but
Right, because I mean, I think everybody understands that, we all have the ability, to create songs with AI. Obviously, Google's doing it with the Music LM, just like, the average iPhone user
right.
can, take high quality photos and videos with their iPhone on the fly. But my thing is, though, Amanda, that doesn't mean that you're a professional. And how do you manage to maintain musical integrity while being commercially successful?
Oh gosh. I feel like that's such a tough question. I mean, I feel like it's just being honest and real, and like putting yourself into the songs, and just writing, what you know and what you believe in. And then that's what's gonna translate to people.
Yeah, it says to sound like you're taking the easy road. I feel like if you're in a fork in the road, Amanda Cooksey knows exactly which directions she's going to choose. But yeah, I think this is something that we're all clearly learning in the year 2023. So we'll see how that goes. But I know the next song that we're about to be playing on Off the Fret, more music talk, is your music video In Denial, which I love the musical
Oh,
arrangements. I mean, I feel like it's got that very poppy, reimagined, stripped down instrumentation, along with you're doing like this 6/8 meter with the slow tempo throughout it, kind of,
right.
leaving room for us listeners to kind of have a positive reflection, while some of your other songs are a bit reflecting on else matters. I would say. So is that the idea of In Denial?
Well, I guess it's, it feels like a happy song, but it's, still about being in denial that a relationship's over. So in a way, it's like kind of a sad song, but it's like, I'm just going to live in this like denial for a little bit just because it'll make me feel happier and more content. And then I'll come back to like the sadness in a little while when I feel like it.
Okay, that's interesting that you say it's still a sad song, because I read lyrics. There's no cloud or rain, just sunny days. And so when I see that, it's like, oh, Amanda's looking finally on the bright side. But why is it good metamorphically to throw your baggage in the ocean like you're doing in the music video and forget that your heart was ever broken in the past?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It's just, letting yourself forget all the bad things for a second and just live in that denial. I don't know if it's like the healthiest thing to do, probably. You should probably, cope with it and take the steps to like figure out how to get over the whole thing. But I don't know. I think it is like a good, you know, kind of in between song where it's like I want to feel a little bit of peace with the situation for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you're in a new relationship now, and I'm sure I would assume I think I've seen a TikTok video from both of you guys where he's kind of going, "Is that song written about me?" And you're like, "Yes, maybe, maybe not." And I think is that something that are you finding out quickly as a country star who likes to write about your love life that your future lovers, or maybe this is the one, is going to expect a song about them in the future?
It's easy to write about what you know and what you're going through. So I feel like, and that's kind of landing on him at the moment, which, luckily he hasn't done anything wrong. So
Well, keep up to it. We don't, maybe we might get an update in a year or two. Maybe we might see the happy side of everything. Very, very cool, Amanda. And let's go ahead and play Amanda Cooksy's music video, In Denial, live on Off the Fret.
Checked in like 2 months ago. The second he said it was over, kicked on my feet, made myself at home, valeted my car and my closure, laid back on a beach chair right next to the ocean, watching the waves and all my baggage floating away. Hey, I could get used to this place. I love it here in denial. Think I might stay for a while. There's no clouds or rain, just sunny days. I wear my shades and a smile on my face. Ain't no sad songs on the dial, just cotton candy skies for miles. Straw to my lips, ignorance is bliss, and his goodbye might not be final. Here in denial. All of my friends say come to your senses. Can't hear them over birds singing, and hearts they don't break, don't go separate ways. That's just the Kool-Aid I'm drinking. I love it here in denial. Think I might stay for a while. There's no clouds or rain, just sunny days. I wear my shades and a smile on my face. Ain't no sad songs on the dial, just cotton candy skies for miles. Straw to my lips, ignorance is bliss, and his goodbye might not be final. Here in denial. Here in denial. Laid back on a beach chair right next to the ocean. This state of mind got me digging my toes in. I love it here in denial. Think I might stay for a while. There's no clouds or rain, just sunny days. I wear my shades and a smile on my face. Yeah, yeah. Ain't no sad songs on the dial, just cotton candy skies for miles. Straw to my lips, ignorance is bliss, and his goodbye might not be final. Here in denial. No, no. In denial.
That is Amanda Cooksy's music video, In Denial, and you can find that on her full-length album, Him. And Amanda, let's switch gears on right now, I would say, because I want to get to know you on a personal level. And you are an absolute nerd when it comes to comic books. And I'm sure that you've seen the news at the top of February where DC studio bosses have announced its first 10 projects titled Gods and Monsters. And what are you looking forward to the most under the new leadership under James Gunn and Peter Safran?
Oh gosh. I mean, I'm definitely more on the Marvel side of things, but
Oh, okay.
I
Do
did
you feel
really
like they're going to be able to hold to that standard, or would you like to see DC go a completely different direction?
Man, I think that DC is definitely stepping up their game for sure because the first Wonder Woman I thought was fantastic, and I really actually enjoyed this new Batman film. I thought Robert Pattinson was incredible in the movie, so I'm actually really excited to get another Batman, and I'm hoping it's just as good as the first one because I really enjoyed
They
it.
also do have another Batman beyond Robert Pattinson that's going to be called The Brave and the Bold, featuring Damian Wayne as his murderous son, who's kind of an assassin, supposed to be a younger edge. Are you cool with that? Because I know they're kind of like separating the worlds. Like, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker will have nothing to do with these 10 projects in Gods of Monsters. That will be like its own thing, just like how they're going to be making a black Superman, which I think is kind of
Oh,
a really cool adaptation, something
yeah.
different. So we'll see whether that works or not. But I guess, are you upset with how Warner Brothers Studios handled the Snyderverse and kind of, kicking
Yeah.
Henry Cavill to the curb when it comes to Superman? Did you
I,
feel like he needed a proper exit, or were you just
oh
like done
man.
with it?
I mean, I loved Henry Cavill as Superman. I thought he was great, and he was a great actor. But I mean, that is an interesting idea, like a new Superman. I mean, I'm curious to see what they do with it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like DC's always kind of changing it up a little bit, and I was nervous about them bringing back Batman in the first place when they brought Robert Pattinson into everything. But I mean, they did a fantastic job, so I'm kind of open to whatever.
Do you have any, plans coming up in these recent months, or are you still kind of, figuring out your thing? Because I know you said at the top of the show, you're kind of in the early stage of the songwriting process, but is there any like secret releases or collabs you can let us in on?
Well, I've definitely been working on a ton of songs and I have a lot of material that, I'm interested in releasing it. Right now I'm kind of in the phase of like just trying to promote everything on social media and, see if something is really resonating with, my audience. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But hopefully I hope I can release something, in summertime, but we'll see.
Hey, rock and roll. So I find that intriguing. You're using the social media outlets to be able to kind of let your own fans be able to spell the story out for the
Yep.
next future LP. That's a trip. I haven't heard of that one before. I think that's really, really cool. And let's get on into the last song that we'll be playing on Off the Fret, more music talk, which is your music video, What's His Name, which is a track, poking fun at forgetting your ex-boyfriend who you considered to be your best friend at one point, which leads me to my question that needs to be asked. Is it okay to still talk with your ex-lover, even if he was once your
Oh,
best friend?
it I feel like again, it is a preference thing, but I've always been one to just kind of like cut the cord, like, probably for the best to not see each other just because I feel like it brings up old memories and, can lead to maybe redating this person, which could also be like sometimes not the best idea. But I think, it depends on the people and like how long they've dated, the situation. But for me, I've always been like,
Yeah, because Amanda, I was gonna say, I've only really had like one lover, and we're obviously an ex now. We didn't date as long; it was only 6 months, and once we did the split, it was like, okay, we're like probably never gonna communicate again. But my thing is, even with the like 6 months, I kind of felt like, yeah, maybe we can be friends on social media. But then after a while, once you kind of like see all the photos, and she's moved
yeah,
on faster than I did, kind of made me crazy on a
yeah.
level. And is it healthy to still follow your ex lover on social media?
Oh gosh. I never do just because I personally don't think I could, you know, it just wouldn't be good for me to like keep up with it, you know. But I
Yeah.
think again, it's some people have an easier time moving on than others, and you know, want to keep their significant others like that have once been in their life still in their lives. But for me, it's just clean cut like.
But I'm sure you
Not,
have your friends, and do they deal with ex-lovers still being their best friends? And from an outside perspective, kind of looking into a snow globe, do you feel like that's kind of weird? It's like, girl, or even my guy friends, like, what are you doing? Like, there's so many fish in the sea. I find that weird. Or you just feel like they're just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to put words in their mouth. Are they trying to like rekindle happiness? I mean, what's
well,
going on?
it is interesting. I've had friends who have, kept those people in their lives, and it ends up ultimately not working out, which is like sad. But I feel like it's just, almost like another lesson of like I had to kind of go through this to like understand that maybe it wasn't the best for me and the best situation. And then they've been able to move on from it. So I don't know, maybe there's a lesson in it for
And
people.
I mean, obviously, Amanda, you came up with a full-length album, Him, that's basically about your ex-lover. And when you write a record about this ex-partner, is it like, okay, now that the album's out, you're definitely gone for good? Is that how you view things?
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while to get over him because, obviously we're friends first, and then it, started.
Did some of the factor come into play about being hard to get over him now that you were like, okay, it felt good to write music about you, and now that I finally have left it all on the paper, and now we've come up with the musical arrangement, but singing those songs often, and your fans love the music, and you're always going to have to be thinking about that in the back of your skull when you sing these lyrics. Does that help, or are you kind of like regretting some of the past records where you're going, maybe, with this new release, I might have to stay away? Fans
Yeah,
online, please give me ideas on social media.
I don't know. I think, I feel like I'm always gonna draw inspiration from just things that have happened in my life, and sometimes, you reflect on past experiences and find a new way to kind of talk about them. But I've definitely closed that chapter in my life. It's been a couple of years, and I've been able to kind of cope and deal with it and move on. And it's just, I feel like it just doesn't really bother me anymore. The emotions, are not as, close to me. So it's definitely easier to sing the songs than it once was.
Okay, that's good. I'm always curious about that because, like we said, people always love to, bring up their exes in songs, and they don't hide it from nobody. And clearly, as we can see right now, speaking with you, Amanda Cookseys, you're like, man, you're such a thing of the past. You're gonna regret this. You're
Yeah.
gonna regret this. I see you. I see you, Pikachu. I see what's going on. I love it, fam. But rock and roll. Let's go ahead and show the listening audience what's good by playing Amanda Cookseys' music video, What's His Name, live on Off the Bread.
No more. We don't say that word around here. No more. Jet black, deep hair, white Adidas. Walked in and he's spinning like tequila. Damn, who's that? I had to ask, 'cause I'm too curious for my own good. Everything about him told me that I should turn and read, not fall in love. But I jumped in head first. Should've used my head first. Should've never wondered. What's his name? I had to know it. What a shame. He had a blow. Now we don't say that word around here no more. We don't say that word around here no more. 'Cause what's his name? He put me through it, and now I wish I never even knew it. No, we don't say that word around here no more. I was so much better before. What's his name? Got a laundry list of shit we call him. Saved in my phone as don't you dare call him. When you're drunk, he's still not the one. It don't roll off my lips like the way you once did. I swear I don't miss. What's his name? I had to know it. What a shame. He had a blow. Now we don't say that word around here no more. We don't say his name? I blocked it out of my memory. I could try spelling it out. I think it went something like D-I-C.
Okay, I guess I did forget about.
What's his name? I had to know it. What a shame. He had a blow now. We don't say that word around here no more. We don't say that word around here no more. 'Cause what's his name? He put me through it. And now I wish I never even knew it. No, we don't say that word around here no more. I was so much better before. What's his name?
That is Amanda Cooksey's music video, What's His Name? And you can find that on her full-length LP, Him. And there's no secret that the music industry, Amanda, is a very tough business to get into.
Yeah.
So do you have a roadmap for the next 5 years, or are you kind of going with the flow like Elvis Presley did?
Kind of going with the flow a little bit, but I've been writing a ton of music and just figuring out what I want to release next. But I'm also not, I'm trying not to put too much pressure on it, because when you put pressure on it, then it becomes like very stressful and you don't say like the things you want to say in your songs. So try not to put too much pressure. Do I have like kind of an idea of where I'm going and what I'm doing every day? Yes, because
So no like strict schedule or anything. You're just gonna kind of let things kind of play out, or are you kind of like aiming for summertime to be like, okay, we need to kind of solidify the theme and the direction that we're gonna go with this new future LP or potential couple singles? I don't know. I mean, but is that something that you're thinking about? Are we gonna hear new music in the year 2023?
that I definitely want to happen no matter what. So at some point, it definitely will. I'm kind of just trying to navigate the landscape, since things have definitely changed a lot in the music industry since COVID, basically, with like TikTok being such a huge part of music now, and like the way people are releasing music and have like really having a social media fan base. It's really changed things. And so I don't know. I think I'm putting a lot of my focus on that and building my fans that way, and just figuring out what I want to release this year. But
See, that sounds like the business administration and your master's degree in public relations going to work. I see where this is all going. I think that's really cool. It definitely does sound like you have a legit roadmap, and we're excited for you, fam. And before we wrap things up, is there anything that you would like to say to your fans and new ones now introduced to Amanda Cooksey?
well, I definitely want to say thank you to everybody who's been supporting me thus far on my journey. It's been like a crazy one since I've moved to Nashville. I've learned so much, and just thank you for being patient as I've tried to figure out, what new music I want to release. And for now, you can check out the single that I dropped with my friend Lucas Scott called My Phone, which is out now. So you can check that out. But otherwise, follow me on socials to keep up with everything.
Rock and roll. I love hearing that. And thank you again, Amanda, for joining Off the Fret. More music talk. And make sure to check out Amanda Cooksey's LP, Him, wherever you listen to music. And where can the listeners follow you on social media?
Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff. Instagram, I'm Amanda A. Cooksey. Twitter, I'm A. Cooksey Music. Facebook, Amanda Cooksey Music. TikTok, Amanda A. Cooksey. All the places.
She's out there, fam. Just do the due diligence. Put it in the Google search bar, not the AI news system.
yeah, exactly.
Amanda, you are fabulous, fam. Always a pleasure to speak with you. Much success moving forward in the year 2023, and keep in touch. Cannot wait to hear more new music from you.
Thank you for having me.
I wish you were here spending